Welcome back to PBI Radio. I'm Chris Guns. In this segment, I'm going to be joined by Ty Barnett, fighting on the August 3rd Friday night fights against Mercito Gesta. This will be the biggest fight of his life, and it's going to be an interesting fight. Let's check in with Ty and see if he's ready for it. Ty Barnett, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about yourself, Ty, man. Were you born in D.C.?
Yeah.
And that's a tough place to grow up. What was it like for you?
Oh, man, it was rough, man, growing up, especially the part of the city I'm from. I'm from Southeast D.C., it's a lot of killing, a lot of drug dealing, and a lot of everything going on out there, man. It's real rough growing up.
It's rough, man. And what about your household? Bring me inside there. What would I see inside your house growing up?
You'll see, growing up, you'll see a bunch of kids running around inside my house. I'm the oldest out of 6 girls and 4 boys. Okay. I have a lot of siblings, and it was a madhouse.
So you were used to being the bully.
No, I never was a bully.
Oh, no.
The bully just always a leader.
No, okay. Oh, nice, man. That's what they needed. And
Yeah.
what kind of kid were you? You were just a good kid. Were you good in school?
Oh yeah. My early years, I was good in school, honor roll student. But as I got older in the junior high school and high school, I started getting into a lot of things, getting into trouble and things like that. Until I started boxing in the 8th grade.
Okay.
That kept me out of trouble for a while, but eventually I found my way back to trouble. I straightened it out, man. We all hit bumps in the road growing up.
Absolutely, man. Especially boys. That's the age where they mess up. What's the sense of being a boy if you can't mess up in high school?
Right.
Who got you into boxing, though? Who got you interested?
Well, I was always, around boxing. When I was young, my father always, he would teach me things, because he used to fight when he was a kid. Him, my uncles, they all were part of boxing.
Yeah. Who would you see in the gyms of a place like D.C.? You got a rich history, and it's a hot place right now even. But you look at D.C. and D.C. recently, D.C. produced Chop Corley and Clarence Vincent and Keith Holmes. And then the best of the best, probably, Too Sharp, Mark Johnson, and his father, him. Do you know any of them guys?
Oh, yeah, I know all those guys well. I know them personally. I've been knowing them for years, since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
They were very influential in me, and part of me growing up and being on the fight scene and being a part of boxing.
Yeah. Why do you think DC produces so many champions? Way back from Maurice Blocker and Floyd Favors and Sonny Boy West, goes way back. What do you think produces so many good fighters from DC?
It's a rough city. You got to know how to fight living in DC.
Mm-hmm. And you came up with the Peterson brothers and all that, right?
Yeah, we come up together in boxing. We all trained together with Barry, through the juniors and through the open division and amateurs, and in my early pro career. Well, damn near all my pro career.
Yeah. What kind of amateur career did you have?
Well, I didn't have. I wasn't a national champion or nothing like that. Like I told you, I was sidetracked. I got into a little trouble when I was young. So I was always in and out the gym. But I fought in nationals, in the Golden Glove Nationals. I fought in the Junior Olympics. I fought in the PAL. I fought in the USA. I fought in the Ohio State Fair Nationals. I fought in a lot of big tournaments. Yeah. But I had a lot of distractions going on, and I couldn't find my way in amateurs. And then I really didn't have a love for the amateurs because my style was more suited for the pros.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with you being raised around the Peterson brothers, were you surprised at all with the PD scandal and stuff? The steroid scandal?
Yeah, it was a shocker to me.
Yeah.
Because I know Lamar, he's a straightforward guy. So, I haven't really been around those guys too much lately, since we split. Mm-hmm. But it was a shocker to me. I don't really still know the whole truth behind the matter. I don't know what's going on with the situation, but It was a shocking blow to everybody.
Yeah. Does it concern you at all? Just knowing all the scandals going on in boxing right now?
Yeah, it does. Fighting a guy using PEDs is like fighting a robot. It's dangerous, man. With the loaded hand wraps and the PEDs and all these things, man, it's dangerous.
Yeah, it definitely needs a national commission where rules are rules and rules are rules everywhere.
Right, they need a national commission where rules are rules everywhere, and with the VADA and those type of testing, it costs too much for guys like me or any other fighters, to get that type of testing. That stuff costs $100,000, so we aren't able to get them extensive tests like that done. To make sure our opposition is clean.
Yeah, there are people like Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, I know, tries hard to get that. I mean, there are things that they could do where the expense could come from, where that's all taken care of, but they just got to implement it and just watch how fast the sport gets cleaned up.
Right.
What made you decide to turn pro when you did?
Oh, man, I wanted to turn pro earlier than I did, but, with the advice of Barry, we waited. At the age of 22, but I always, like I told you, I always loved the pros. I had a pro style even in the amateurs, and that kind of like would that's why I would fail in the amateur fights, because I had a pro style. I sit back, like to wait and pick my shots and things like that, and in the amateurs, before the computers were brought in, it was all about throwing 1,000 punches,
Yeah.
So,
and do you remember who you turned pro against? I'm sorry, I thought you were done there.
Do I remember who?
You remember who you turned pro against and what the result was and where it was?
Yeah. My first pro fight was in Tunica, Mississippi at the Fitzgerald Casino against a guy named Terrence Lloyd. I think he had about 20 plus fights when I fought him. And I stopped him in the third round.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
How'd you feel winning that first fight?
I was like I got my cherry bust. like losing your virginity, man.
Yeah, man. Exciting.
Yeah.
The guy had a 6-10 record. Not so successful, but still, that's 16 fights.
Yeah, 16 fights.
Why such a tough first fight?
Well, I come up in the gym with a bunch of tough fighters. Even in the amateurs, I fought a bunch of tough fighters. Me and Lamont fought in the amateurs against each other. Me and Maxwell Taylor. I fought all those guys. What's the guy name? Me and Wyman first, and a lot of guys. So.
Yeah, so you were experienced. You were ready.
Yeah.
Washington, D.C.
So,
it's not
in the gym with D.C. Just spawn in the gym. That's a pro fight right there.
Absolutely. There's some cities that with the same amount of fights, you're just more experienced because the city itself produces so much tougher competition. So I know what you mean. And in your 9th pro fight, your first fight that you didn't win, it was declared a draw after 4 rounds. What do you remember about that fight? Do you think you won that fight?
I think I did win it, but I started too late. The fight, like you said, the rounds wasn't long enough, and I just started too late. Then it was my first time fighting a southpaw in a professional fight. And I didn't mash on the gas in time, and it caused me to get a draw. But, at the end of the day, I can live with it. I learned from it, and here I am.
And your record can't be perfect again. How'd it feel not winning that fight? Did it bother you at all?
Yeah, it bothered me at the time. But what can we do? It's history now.
It's water under the bridge, and you learned your lesson. You said, did you learn how to handle southpaws any better after that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, like I said, I always could handle the southpaw. It was a matter of me mashing on the gas. I started too late. And I didn't get the guy out of there, and the bell rung, the fight was over.
Yeah. Then you came back and you got some wins, and then you find yourself in the ring with somewhat of a a little legend. You fight John Brown. Of course, it was an older John Brown, but he was a good fighter. What do you remember about that fight?
Oh, John, that was a great fight. And, you know, John came in the fight, actually, he was a welterweight. He couldn't make the weight. He came in at 147.
Wow.
You know, he didn't really put any pressure on him. You know, we took the fight anyway. I was ready.
Mm-hmm.
I took the fight, knocked the lap from him, got the rounds in with him, dropped him a couple times. You know, I really believe if it would have been an 8-round, I would have stopped him.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, he's a KG veteran. You know,
yeah, man.
need those type of guys when you're climbing that ladder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need him. And did you feel his experience at all?
Yeah, I felt it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He knew how to survive. You know, he knew how to lean his weight on me. He had a couple of little tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah. And you win a few more fights, and then you have another slip up. You fight Juan Santiago. You're stopped in one. What do you remember about that fight, and what went wrong?
Well, you know, in preparation for that fight, you know, I was coming off a 10-month layoff and a mediocre performance against a guy named Johnny Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that layoff killed me. You know, I lost the weight the wrong way. I was weak trying to make the weight, starving myself, and you know, I wasn't 100%, and I kind of like looked past my opponent, you know, because I was knocking guys out. I was like, man, you know what? I'm just gonna knock this guy out. It's gonna be another KO on my record. You know, I didn't know anything about him. Didn't see any of his fights before or nothing. So,
mm-hmm.
you know, went to the fight. I was real calm. I didn't have that nervous energy that you're supposed to have as a fighter. You know, you can't be too calm in there because you get lax.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was real calm. I just, you know, I wasn't worried at all. You know, went to the fight. First round, we came out. I went right at him, banging. You know, had him buzzed, but I didn't finish him. I hit him with a body shot, but he said it was a low blow and rolled on the ground. And you know, the referee gave him a little time to recover. Mm-hmm. You know, he got back up, recovered, and we went back at it. And I slipped up. You know, he caught me with a right hand. A couple more shots, and I went down. It was my first time ever going down in my career period, amateur or pro.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know how to handle it. You know, I let my pride get in the way, so I jumped right up immediately. You know, I didn't even let the ref start count. I jumped right up. Mm-hmm. You know, the ref got the 8 count in, told him I'm ready, let's go. You know, I went right back at him. You know, and my legs wasn't all the way together. Mm-hmm. You know, but I thought I was good. I went right back at him, clashed again, and he caught me again.
Yeah.
You know, the second time I went down, I told myself, like, God damn, I'm on the ground again. What the hell going on? I jumped right back up again. So the referee, you know, he was counting, got the 8, asked me if I want to continue. You know, my leg buckled a little bit. I told him, yeah, I want to continue, but, you know, I took a few steps and the leg buckled and he called the fight off. So, you know, once it gets to that point, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah. Now you had the draw, but that's the first time you that got stopped or dropped. You know how you mentioned it. But where were you after that loss?
After that loss, you know, I had to sit down and go back to the drawing board and recognize where I went wrong at, you know, which I did. Went back to the gym, you know, put the work in. Got prepared for a southpaw by the name of Antoine. I mean, not Damon Antoine, but Antoine Broderick. Mm-hmm. You know, I gained my focus back, and I was on point. You know, I went in there, fought that guy, and beat him every round to the point where they didn't want to come out for the 8th round. They sat on the stool. They quit on the stool.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, after that fight, I felt as though I had my momentum back on. You know, and they called me to fight the guy Tyrese Hendricks, another southpaw. He was 18-1.
Mm-hmm. And that was the first time you went 8 full rounds. What do you remember about that fight and that night? How'd you feel?
I dominated the whole fight. Mm-hmm. Bell to bell, dominated the whole fight. He got in some good shots in the first round. You know, he's real fast. You know, he's fast. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With a couple shots, but after that, I, you know, shook that off. it was all me, you know, and it was downhill for him.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you feel after the end of 8 rounds, going 8 full rounds?
Oh man, I felt like I can go 4 more.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
great.
I in good shape. You know, I was ready. I was ready. You know, I made the weight the right way. I wasn't weak.
Mm-hmm.
We fought. I think we was at 138, so I was strong.
Yeah. And you didn't take an easy road there. Your next fight, you fight 10-0 Andrei Klimov, battle of 2 good young fighters, and you got dropped and stopped in the 3rd. What do you remember about Klimov? The Russians could be deceptive, man.
The Klimov guy, that's another fight going into that fight. That was like 10-month layoff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rusty. You know, wasn't really feeling good in the gym. Wasn't looking good in the gym. Felt bad making the weight again. You know, had woman problems, all type of problems going on. I was on the other side of the country. I mean, you know, I was in California training for it, and over there training for 9-10 months straight. You know, off and on.
Yeah.
Didn't do my homework on the guy. I knew nothing of him. You know, it just that's how big my heart is. When they told me, you know, you got to fight for you, a Russian kid, undefeated. Okay, cool. I don't care. I ain't worried about him. You know, but it was poor management. You know, on my former manager's behalf, and you can't let a fighter make those type of decisions. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you gotta think for the fighter. You know, because me, I'll fight anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Whether I'm feeling good or bad, I'll fight anybody. But you know, in this case, I'm feeling good. But going into that fight, I wasn't 100%. You know, and when the first bell, I couldn't get off. My timing wasn't right. Nothing would work for me. You know, and he could punch. He had pretty decent power. And you know, when you lose weight the wrong way, you know, you can't take a punch as good as you would if you didn't have to lose it the wrong way. So he caught me in the 3rd round with a barrage of punches, and I went down. This time I took my knee. You know, I stayed down on one knee, let the ref do the 8 count. I was coherent. You know, I could hear the ref clearly. You know, after the 8 count, I stood up. Ref said, "Do you want to continue?" I told him, "Yeah." He waved it off. I mean, I didn't understand it, but at the end of the day, that's history too.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people look at my record and see those 2 losses and they see KO.
Yeah.
They think that I was actually KO, but I never actually been out. These guys, they caught me at bad times in my career and they dropped me. And you know, I beat all the counts, but it was up to the ref's discretion to stop the fight. So, you know, those 2 losses to me, they are a blessing in disguise because they taught me a lot about my body. They taught me, you know, a lot about myself. Period. You know, now, you know, I got a strict diet. You know, I'm a vegan. You know, I know how to feed my body. You know, it's just a lot of things that I needed to know that I didn't know, and I'm ready to take it to the next level, man. You know, the critics are give voicing their opinion. They feel as though this is gonna be an easy fight for this guy Mercito, but they got another thing coming, man.
I hear you, and they better know that. But the Russians' records could be deceptive. Their experience. Look at Kostya and even Cubans like Rigondeaux. They're already ready for title shots as soon as they turn pro and stuff, you know? So
yeah. I mean, he was decent, though. I mean, I wouldn't put him on none of those guys' level. You know, like I said, man, the 2 guys I lost to, if you watch them box, you'd be like, oh, my God, how did they beat Ty Barnett? You know? They can't match me skill for skill.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't beaten the opposition I beat.
Yep. I hear you.
You know, that's the biggest, to me, what I do know is that the victories over me for them guys are going to be the biggest thing that they've done in boxing. And I'm going to move on to do great things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Did you become a vegan after that fight? Is that when you switched your diet up?
Yeah. Yeah. After that fight, you know, before these 2 fights I just had with 2 veterans, I had to sit back and reflect on everything once again. You know, I had to sit myself down, and say, Ty, where did we go wrong at, man? and I pinpointed everything I feel as though I did wrong. Started eliminating certain things, and man, here I am today. Man, I feel good. Man, my focus back. I felt like I was saying things a lot more clear. My last fight, things were clicking. I understand that being consistent and fighting on a regular is the key in boxing. Because the long layoffs, they hurt you.
Yeah.
They hurt you.
Yeah.
Especially if you're getting in there with a guy who's been active. So the key is to stay busy. And I feel good, man. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm 29 years old. It's that time.
That's right. Just coming into your best years. And
yeah.
After that loss, you took 10 months off, and you told how you switched your diet up. What were you doing during the break besides that? Just trying to figure out what went wrong and stuff?
Yeah, figuring out what went wrong. I took about, I took the summer off, really. I run from time, every other day, every couple of days I run, do some sit-ups, shadow box a little bit, but I didn't really get back into the gym until the end of the summer.
Yeah.
I had to really figure out what I was going to do because I didn't have a manager or promoter. Even like with the fighting the Russian, I said my former manager, he wasn't really my manager on paper. He just was somebody who would look out for me from time to time. Give me fights, things like that. But I never had a manager. I had got out that contract with Prize Fight because business wasn't looking right. They wasn't trying to treat me right, and I was on my own. Yeah. So I had to figure out a game plan. I came up with a game plan. I figured, I got to deal with a local promoter. Fight at some small venues. Bring in some pretty safe opponents that I can get the rounds in with. And just get that feel back for the being in fight mode. And then, once I feel like I'm ready, that's when we gonna go. I wasn't gonna let any of these matchmakers or anybody force me to take a fight and with a guy, undefeated guy, and I haven't been busy.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like moved at my own pace. Was in the gym training every day, and worked out something with a local promoter in DC, and they did two fights with me. We had 2 sellout shows. Their first time ever selling out. Dealing with me, they sold out shows, and I got my groove back. And once I got the call from the matchmaker for this fight, I told him, let's do it. Let's do it. I didn't go back and forth with him about the money or nothing, because this isn't about the money. Because I knew that if I would have told him, well, no, you got to give me more money, then there would have been a chance that I would have lost the fight. So the first offer, was fair, so I took it. I wasn't worried about the money. It's never about the money right now. Never, because at the end of the day, the money we're fighting for isn't life-changing money, so I could care less. It's about me getting that respect and that recognition that I deserve.
And it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. And you did return. You returned after 10 months off. Did you feel rusty at that point?
I felt the little ring rust in March. Felt the little ring rust. But I got a good, tough 8 rounds in with a veteran. I hit him with some wicked back and good shots upstairs. And, he was on his bike the whole night. He never wanted to engage and fight with me, so I had to go get him. It was a good experience, good, strong 8 rounds. Got it in, felt decent, but I had to go back. I knew after that fight I wasn't ready for a big fight, so we scheduled another one in May. They brought in the guy Robert DeLuz. He hasn't really been stopped, but probably like 4 times out of however many fights he has a shitload of fights. Yeah. And I broke him down, man. Broke him down the whole fight. Broke him down and finished him.
And your next fight coming up now, it's almost here. We're a few days away. The Philippines produced champions too. DC versus the Philippines. What do you think of Gesta? Did you watch any of his fights?
Yeah, I watched a couple of his fights. He's fast. He's fast. He was southpaw. But that's about it, man. I'm not really impressed with the guy. Not impressed at all.
He's
he
aggressive.
hasn't really fought nobody. He hasn't really been challenged.
Not yet, no. And you're gonna do that. And what do you think you can exploit on him? What'd you see?
Oh, well, I see a lot of holes in this fight game. A whole lot of holes in this fight game.
Mm-hmm.
Come Friday night, the world gonna see. I'm not gonna expose the fight plan, but I'm coming. I'm bringing my A game. And I hope we prepare for it. I hope they're not looking past me, because it seems like they are. They talk about world titles and moving to 140 and all those things right there, but they don't understand that they're about to run into a brick wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could feel it. You're feeling the motivation. Is there any more nerves knowing it's going to be on national TV and it's going to have a lot of interest in the Philippines? Is there any added pressure, nerves?
No added pressure at all. I overcame adversity just by getting here and being in this position. Every day, growing up, coming out the house, it was rough. It was pressure. So I'm not new to none of this. I'm not new to it. Then I've been around the life and life camera action. In my whole career, been around Anthony Lamont. So I know how it goes.
Yeah, and it's good to know that you could hang with the best people who've been to the top and stuff. So you know where where you're capable of going. So I think it's all going to help.
From the Zab Judas to the Sean Bay Mitchell to the Lamont Anthony Peterson to the Fernando Guerreros and all those guys. I bang with the best of them.
That's it. To the Ty Barnetts. You're there, man. And what do you have to say to your fans in closing?
I want all my fans to stay with me. Don't listen. Don't feed into the critics and what they got to say, because right now their opinion really doesn't matter, because they really unaware of who I am and what I'm capable of. But come Friday, the world gonna know, and just stick with me, man. I'm gonna do great things in the lightweight division.
In just a few days, your fan base might multiply by 4, 5. Thank you, my man.
Yeah.
Good luck on Friday night, August 3rd against Mercito Gesta. We'll be watching, buddy. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate you for having me, man. Thanks.
All right, good luck, Ty.